In this video, I'll show you how to automate document creation and delivery using DocuSign, Airtable, and Google Docs so your documents handle themselves, giving you back time for the work that truly matters. Hey, I'm Paul, owner of Matsu Consulting, where I help teams streamline their operations by building them systems, processes, and automations. I've created a sample base with a simple structure we'll use throughout this demo. Since we're working with DocuSign, we'll imagine this is a system for managing contracts. So here's a quick overview of the fields you'll need in Airtable. I've created a simple table called contracts, and some of the fields you'll need, I created contract name and organization name, both of which are single line text fields. I've also created a cost field, which is just the currency field, a description field with long text that you can enter. I've just inserted some placeholder text, lorem ipsum text. I have a date field, signer 1 name and email, signer 2 name and email, a DocuSign envelope ID, which is just a single line text. We'll need that to grab the information from DocuSign once it creates an envelope. I've also created 2 URL fields, one for a contract draft and one for a signed contract. We'll grab the links from our Google Drive eventually and place them in there. And then I've created a status field with 3 single select drop downs, not yet sent, yes send now, and already sent. The status select field will be important because that's what will trigger the automation. So I've created a separate view which just has a simple filter with the status is yes send now. Anything that is marked as yes send now will appear in this view, and that's what's going to trigger the automation. All right, let's switch over to our Google Doc template. So here I've created a simple contract template. This is the document we'll use as the foundation, and Airtable will fill in all the details automatically each time a new contract is created. To make this possible, we'll use placeholders within the Google Doc. These are also called merge fields. Anything that is within these double curly brackets. For example, we have our signer 1 name and email, we have the organization name, we have the signer 2 name, signer 2 email, the cost, which is from the currency field, and then the description, which is from the long text field. And then on the second page, we have placeholders for signatures. We have signer 1 name as well as the signer 2 name. And the signatures and the date fields will be populated automatically by DocuSign. Now each of these merge fields will connect back to the matching fields in Airtable. So whenever you see a placeholder here, Airtable will drop in the actual data from that record, whether it's signer 1 name or signer 2 name, all without you having to lift a finger. And once your template is set, make sure it's stored in the correct folder in Google Drive so that your automation can access it. And just to be safe, I often will turn the share settings on and then share anyone with the link can either view it or edit it so that the make.com API can grab that information. So that's all we'll need on the Google Docs side. Next, we'll move over into make.com and bring it all together, connecting Airtable, Google Docs, and DocuSign into one seamless flow. All right, so let's bring it all together inside make.com. This is where the real magic happens. So think of make as the conductor. It listens for your signal from Airtable, in our case when a record status was changed to yes send now, and then directs the other tools to play their parts in the sequence. Here's how we'll set it up. First, create a new scenario and add Airtable as the trigger. So I've used the search records field in Airtable. So if you open that up, you'll see the base is this sample contacts base that I've created. The table is from the contracts table as well. The view is this generate document and send for signatures. That's this view, generate document and sends for signatures. And then the limit is 1. Limit is simply how many records you want to pull in at a time or want to search through at a time. Next, we'll add a Google Docs module. Use the one that's called create a document from a template. So if you go ahead and open that up, you'll have to search through a drive. So you'll see it's connected to my drive, and then you can grab the document ID. You can either map it or you can click through the various folders, and then you could find the actual document as the document ID. For the values, any value that is in curly brackets, the Google Drive document module is going to pick those up. So you'll see that in Airtable, I have the signer 1 name, the signer 1 email, the organization name, the signer 2 name, signer 2 email. The cost is, since make.com does not natively format a currency as a currency, then you need to format it correctly. So I've used this format number cost semicolon 2. You'll see that the 2 maps with the decimal points, and then the decimal separator is a period, and then the thousand separator is the comma. Then you'll need to map the description and then give it the document a title. So I've named it sample contract, organization name, and then the date. And then you'll have to select the new location for the file, which in my case is my drive, and then select the folder structure for where you want to actually send that file. Then click save. Once that's done, the automation will generate a new contract draft for each record. Then you'll have to add a Google Drive download a file module. And what that does, it actually downloads the file from Google Drive, and then you'll use that to then upload it to DocuSign. Finally, you'll have to map the information with DocuSign. So choose the module that's called Send a Document to Sign, and then open that up. And then scroll down to Recipients, and you'll see the email. Plug in the signer1 email for the signer number 1, then the signer1 name, and then the recipient ID. If you have multiple recipients, the first person that you want to include is always going to be recipient ID number 1, and then recipient ID number 2 is going to be the second person, and then the third person will be recipient ID number 3, and so on and so on. You can skip this add access codes. If you want to add any notes, you can, but for our purposes, no. To insert the date sign tab, this is going to be how DocuSign will automatically add a timestamp wherever you have a date. So for instance, for us, we have the date entry right here. For the date fields, you can use what's called an anchor string, basically hidden text. So DocuSign knows where to place the date sign tag. So for our purposes, I've named our hidden anchor string signer1. And if you go back over here, you'll notice that here there's hidden text signer1. It's hidden because I formatted the color to be white. And then here, you'll notice that there's hidden text signer2. So if you scroll down to the item 2, you'll see signer2 is right there. So what that is doing again is the anchor string is basically hidden on the page. And for us, it's set to white color in the Google Docs. So DocuSign knows where to place these date sign tags. And in that way, it'll be dynamic. So if I was to place signer2 like down here somewhere, then that's where it would place the timestamp for when signer2 signed that actual document. I should also mention that email and name under signers item 1 and 2, the email is the person you're going to email to sign. And then the name is how you want their name to appear, both when they sign the actual document as well as what their name appears in the email that is sent. The Sign Here tabs are a little tricky. So this is what will control where the signature is placed in the Google Doc. So unless you're using a DocuSign template, DocuSign won't automatically know where to drop this signature. So what you'll need to do is upload the document in a sample envelope, find the X and Y coordinates on the page, and that will tell DocuSign where each signature should be placed. So if you log into DocuSign, if you create a new agreement, first you'll have to download a copy of your sample contract, and then you'll have to upload that sample contract here. Add your name and email to the sample contract. Okay, and then you'll have to scroll down here. If you click on a signature, then you can find the location right here. So to determine the X and Y coordinates, look at this article and you'll see that the X is the fixed position from left to right or horizontal. So in this case, the X is fixed position 84 points from left, and then the Y position is the fixed position from top to bottom or vertical. So in this case, the Y is 72 points from the top. So remember, X is left to right and Y is top to bottom. So if we go back here, then 232 pixels from the left is our X coordinate. So we could plug that in here into signer number 1. And then the Y position is 167 from the top. So we could plug that in here. And then you'll need to scroll down to sign here tabs for the second person, item number 2. And then we'll need to find that coordinate. If you were to put that one down here, you'll see that now the X position is 235 pixels from the left. And then the Y is 310 from the top. Okay, and then there are a couple other items that you might not be familiar with. So the document ID, if you have one document in an envelope, it's always 1. But if you have multiple documents that are uploaded at once, say you have an invoice and a contract and a scope of work, that's 3 different documents, you would need 3 document IDs. So depending on which document you want to sign, you have to remember them in order. So for our purposes, since we only have one document we're uploading, then we only have document ID number 1. But if you only wanted, say for instance, document ID number 2, which was the actual contract, and document ID number 1 was the invoice, and you only wanted number 2 signed, you would put 2 here. Recipient ID has to match what you put up here. So recipient ID is for the signer number 1, and then page number, you have to match what page it is going to fall on. So for our purposes, it's going to be on page number 2. So we would have to update that to page number 2. And then if we scroll down, you'll see we already updated the X and Y positions. Document ID is 1, recipient ID is 2, because this recipient ID number 2 is the same. And then page number, we would have to do 2. If you put page number 1 here, then the signature would fall on the X and Y coordinates on page number 1 around here, and we don't want that. Okay, finally on DocuSign, then you enter in the subject. So this is the email subject line when DocuSign actually sends out the email. So for our purposes, it's sample contract and then colon organization name. And then the message is the body of the email message. So there's no rich text formatting in this, unfortunately, so you only can add plain text. So ours is, hello, please sign this sample agreement. Details are organization is organization name, amount is $, and then format it so that it pumps it out as a currency, and then thank you. And then the item 1 document is coming from this module right here, download a file from Google Drive. Document ID is number 1, file extension is a doc, and no supplemental documents, and then save that. So once the DocuSign module is complete, I like to then add one final step in Airtable. So I always like to update the record with the Google Docs share link, as well as the DocuSign envelope ID. So make sure you're still in the same sample base, and then the table is contracts. The record ID is pulling from this module right here. And then you want to go ahead and update all the fields. So I like to update the DocuSign envelope ID from the DocuSign module. That's right here, the envelope ID. And this contract draft should be coming from this Google Docs. So you could pull in the web view link right here. Okay, and then save that, and then save that. Okay, let's run the automation to make sure it works. All right, seemed to work. Let's go check our email to make sure that everything looks good. All right, we're here in our email, and we see that we did successfully receive a email from DocuSign. So let's see, it says, hello, please sign this sample agreement. Details are organization, sample organization, amount 1,000. The currency is formatted properly. Let's review the document, see if it all mapped correctly. Okay, looks like from is correct, email is correct. Yep, cost, description. All right, and that's where I sign it. So I'll go ahead and sign that. Let's go back to Airtable just to make sure that the DocuSign envelope ID was mapped correctly. Yep, and the document draft, you have to click into that. It opens up that successful document draft. All right, and so I hope this gives you a clear sense of how the workflow moves seamlessly from Airtable to Google Docs to DocuSign to your inbox, back to Airtable with all the records updated automatically. You now got your DocuSign workflow up and running. And if you found this helpful, hope you can head to my website and book a free discovery call. There we can look at your current operations, pinpoint what's slowing you down, and see how I can help you build systems that might save you time and reduce your headaches. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more tutorials like this, and I'll see you in the next video.